Today on FTBSports Through the Table, we're going to look first at the news of the day in the league. We're going to look at the 2019 draft class, the first round. The reason why we do that, this is the year that they are up to have their options picked up, which is what these guys will be going through in 5 years. So we'll do a little bit of that, and we'll also take a look into the first round and see how we think it's all going to shape up with these teams and needs. But here we are tonight. So let's get going. Hello and welcome to FTB Sports Through the Table. I am your host, Britt Smeel. Thank you for joining us again on another Wednesday edition. I will now bring in my co-host, my best friend, the man, Donnie Shoemaker. Once again, how you doing?
Oh, it's good, man. Another good week. It's getting close to the summer. Wonderful. Got one more week of school. Finals.
Right, yeah, it's supposed to be spring. I don't know where that went. You guys might be having spring. But,
we finally got I know it sounds crazy, man, but we finally got our first actual rain.
Oh yeah,
3 days ago, we finally got it, which is
dude, wonderful. Wonderful, man.
Definitely implies it's going to be a very hot summer down here, but that's just how it goes.
I mean, it's Texas, isn't it?
It builds strength, they say.
Right, yeah.
No, it's
Texas,
misery.
It's going to be hot in Texas, man. Hot and humid.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, too far away from the Gulf to benefit from all the rain, but close enough to get all the humidity.
I know. It's like the worst parts of Florida.
Oh, yeah. At least Florida, man. You have
at least you get rain.
Lots of rain.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No.
Well,
but Texas is better than Florida. Just saying that right now. So don't get twisted.
So let's just start off. League news. The biggest news is, I think, the Arizona Cardinals have picked up the 5th-year option on Murray on his rookie contract. He for 2023, he'll be in the $30 million. And this is kicked up, not his rookie contract, because he has 2 Pro Bowls. Okay. So that has has made that higher. So what that means is that for the next 2 years, he is under team control. Of course, we know, and Murray's agent, he has made no bones about it. They want a more lucrative contract because of what he brings.
I was going to say $30 million. They got to steal the deal right there. And that's why they did it. I mean,
yep.
And the thing is, there's kind of some turmoil going on with that contract right there, because it seemed like he wanted out.
He wants a deal. He doesn't want to be playing under the rookie contract, and that's
and
what
I can
it
understand that. Yes,
Dude,
and no.
I mean,
I think his name brings a certain kind of connotation that you expect him to make bigger bucks. But as far as gameplay is concerned, yeah, it's saying that you've obviously been Arizona's best quarterback in the last since the beginning almost. It's not like. It's not like Arizona's really been known for super quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have one right now,
They had Kurt Warner for a little while, I believe.
yeah, I knew you were gonna bring him up, but like I was thinking about it, I was like, well, do I say that? But it has
The
been
best not great quarterback like in the history of the league, man.
No, I think that's Dan Marino, but Kurt Warner's pretty close.
You don't put Dan Marino in the great quarterback category because
He's like
we all
the
know
least
that when you
best or
look
the
at
best
it,
worst. I don't know.
yeah,
You know,
whichever way sounds more endearing to the guy.
It's just, I mean, he struggled this year. You know, he is good. I'm not saying he's not. I don't think the kind of money he wants based on the money that all these other quarterbacks are getting right now, I don't think he's worth that kind of money. Do I think that $30 million is a steal? Yes. But he needs to show a little more effort to get that big contract that he wants. And I get it too, because like as a player, as an individual, you look at that, this is a business. And so that being said, you have to do what's best for you. And $30 million, I mean, who knows? He could get career-ending injuries in this next 2 years, and he never gets
That's
a big
what
contract.
That's what I want to ask, because then you look at it the organization standpoint. Do you think it largely has to do with his comments that
His
him and his
attitude, yeah.
agent, or do you think there's anything behind or anything to do with he has had trouble staying healthy?
Yeah.
Do you think that's part of why Arizona hasn't really given him a serious offer? Or do you think it's more to do with the chatter off field and this disconnect in the locker room that we heard about?
It's a little bit of both, right? Like chanting, I'm number one or I'm the best or whatever, like in the locker room. I mean, I get it. Like you got to have a certain level of cockiness, but at the same time, like that's not appropriate. It's
And
a
if it's
team
turning your
sport.
teammates off.
Yeah, because I mean, you can be a great quarterback, but if you piss off your team, then that chemistry really goes a long way. I think it's a mixture of both. I think if he would have balled out and a lot better than because he got picked up, wasn't he first round draft pick?
He was
told me earlier today.
the overall number one pick.
Yeah, and so saying that people expect you to do a little bit better, but not I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying 75-80% is what he fulfilled as far as what people thought he was going to be able to do when he comes in the league.
And the health aspect is just like
it's a mixture of the two, because you got that and then your injury. I mean, why are we going to do it? The reason we're not probably selling you right now is because who are we going to pick up right now?
That's worth you, right?
But
is it better than a guy who's going to sit out the 2022 season anyway, because it's expected that he'll be sitting out 2022 without a new contract and a contract extension.
Oh, like they were gonna tag him anyway, and then he was just gonna sit out.
Yeah, his whole idea was to sit out this year, regardless of the option being picked out. Was he wanted a new deal? He wanted to work out a new deal and get out of his rookie contract.
And like we said last week, I don't think that's a good play for a particularly new player in the league. Even for a veteran player, I think that's a bad move. I mean, it doesn't work to your advantage. I mean,
yeah, we've seen it time and time again,
yeah.
Man. We talked about it last week. You miss 1 year, and it's like you're light years behind.
Well, your body, I mean, there's a different kind of training you're doing, and then all of a sudden your body's not getting hit anymore, so it's not used to that, and then you're out for a year, and then people that have been in the system are there. I mean, it's just not a good look, and it's not physically a good idea, because you can't mimic those kind of trainings on your own.
You can, because that's the one thing they say is you can train and train, but the one thing you cannot replicate is game speed.
Yeah.
Like you just can't. There's this found energy that everybody has out on the football field that you don't see on the practice field. They
No,
don't go
definitely.
that hard, but you go to game day and direct competition, that does something to people, kicks you into a gear that you didn't know you had and other people didn't know you had.
No, for real, for real.
Right.
And it's I don't know. I don't think he kind of put up a big fuss for something that he didn't need to put up a big fuss. I get it if you're not happy with that, but it felt like it was just more his ego or self-involvement was too strong that he's not at the caliber that he thinks he is. And I mean, do I think they should have franchise tagged him for another 2 years? Or I know it's an extension and then the
Yeah,
franchise
they
tag,
wanted to
correct?
pick up his option.
Um, I think maybe that almost feels like they're trying to just hold on to him and see what they can get for him later.
Or give it time to work out a new deal. But
Yeah,
I
but
don't know. The
if there's
way
somebody
everything was
tall,
coming out, it seemed like, oh, he's done here.
and that's going to cause controversy all year. They're going to be butting heads. The franchise and him are going to butt heads all year. It's going to come down to two
Right.
things: he sucks it up, or he flounders and they bench him, and then they're going to sell him. But he's not going to get. When you act like that, I don't think you get picked up by a better team. It's always a downhill slope. You got to suck it up
And
sometimes and
rightfully,
just do it. You know,
it should be.
ball out,
Um,
get picked up by a better team later on. I mean, that's all you can
right?
do.
Yeah, you can't ball out if you're sitting on the bench.
No.
No, you can't. Um, uh, Derek Carr, he made comments.
I'm just gonna shut the door. Just one second. All right.
But yeah, Derek Carr, he responding to a report that Las Vegas and Green Bay are discussing Darren Walker. Carr laughed and said, "No chance." I happen to believe Darren Walker isn't going anywhere. I
wouldn't
think
so.
he'll stay there. Carr likes him. They have a good thing going. It's how good you can have in Las Vegas. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. It's like, what, asking a guy on a rumor, he's going to laugh it off. What else is he going to say?
I mean, I think in all aspects, I mean, not that the Raiders are on an uptick, but I think that they're going to be the best they've been. And it seems like Green Bay, like we say time and time again, is falling apart.
Yeah, right. So I could see him. I could see him making a call.
And how stupid you got to feel as that organization, right?
Right.
Like you just
all
paid
you
a dude like $200 million for a 4-year contract,
and they're still bailing, and they're still leaving.
And he's still leaving. So basically, you paid him all that money to stay. When he threw the game, acted like a kid because he wasn't getting his way.
Can't keep his buddies around either.
Yeah, and that says a lot. When your teammates are leaving, there's something going on.
Right. Carolina's owner also, he came out, talked to the Carolina fans, tells them that he believes in Sam Darnold and requests patience with him. If you're a Carolina fan, how much are you listening to what he had to say in that presser?
If we're like 2 weeks into him being in Carolina, I would say okay, because honestly, he did play pretty good, especially, and even your dad will contest to this, man. Like he even he believes in Sam Darnold. The reason I don't have faith in him, because I did think he did better in Carolina, just for that time right there, is the way that they rotated that. They brought back Newton, or what was that? Yeah, Cam Newton.
Yeah.
They brought him back. It was just they didn't even have faith in him. So how can you say?
Right, that's what I was just about to say. You're telling me to have faith in him, not Carolina fan, but regular Carolina fan, not me. I'm not one. Bills Mafia. Let's just get that straight. But it's like you're telling me to have faith in him, and you brought back A quarterback that you let go before?
You just
Dad
I don't
likes
think
your
he's a bad cat. I just think that maybe he isn't getting that kind of time that he needs to develop. But you're telling me to be patient as a fan when you, as an organization, don't believe in him?
obviously you
I'm
brought
hard
back
pressed to
an
believe
older
that you actually
quarterback.
believe that. You know,
Right. My
basically, you're telling
dad,
me you don't have any other options, so we got to suck it up and deal with it as a fan. Or, you know, what are you gonna do? I
no,
mean,
you're right.
I'd say he didn't show much flair, and so the likelihood he's really gonna beast it up this year. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It could happen. I mean, as a player, I mean he's a fairly big dude,
Right.
so like he could make some moves.
He started
I
off good. Like we can see he has it there. Like you said, he started off really good. I even went because, watching Sam Darnold because he was in the same conference as my Bill. So I got
Yeah,
to see him a bit. But see him in Carolina, I'm like, dang, okay.
yeah.
This dude looks like he's going to turn it around. And then Carolina just went back to Carolina. And then they brought back an old quarterback that they had let go and Cam Newton. So it's very like, okay, what's going on? Where's the direction of this organization?
As a caveat to that though, was it McCaffrey was playing with them, and they were kind of struggling right there too, because they brought him. He was hurt. I mean, you go from like number one running back, right, to
Oh, dude.
injuries. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. He was the number one running back there for a little bit.
Yeah.
No,
And
not a
then
little
when we
bit, like
talk
almost
about
2 years.
And
Then
now
he
when we
gets
talk
hurt.
about best running backs,
Yeah. Then he comes back
McCaffrey
that season
mentioned.
where Darnold starts, gets hurt right off the bat. And when your team is focused around the running back, like we always say, it's hard to function when the player that you're basing a team around is not activated. So I mean, maybe they have kind of because we've seen them struggle through. I mean, we've seen the decline of Carolina over the years. The height was when Cam was doing
Super
the yoga.
Bowl. It wasn't that long ago. It seems like forever ago, but
But
really it wasn't that long ago.
it was
Carolina
5
was in
years
the
ago,
freaking
maybe,
Super Bowl.
But maybe they're gonna get a new system going. They need to get some players, obviously key point players. Carolina's always had a pretty decent defense, so maybe this off
It's one of
season,
the old tried and trues, man. Like you expect, and I'm sure their
and which
fans do too.
it really sucks because that's one of the key components that you really need for a successful team is a good defense. So you gotta, at least, probably medium, if not more, mid-grade defense, enough to get to the playoffs at least. And you can't
and you couldn't hold on to your cornerback.
Yeah.
Stephon Gilmore. He's
that.
gone.
I think that had to do with I don't want to say it had to do with money. I think maybe they were trying to
Better
do something
situation.
different. I think they could probably because it was a free agency, right? Like he was free agent. Yeah, I think it has to do with them trying to move in a different direction. Maybe they're trying to get some skill players on offense.
Probably. Guy not moving. And did you have anything
No,
else to
I
add?
just feel like Sam Darnold, like as much as I don't actually want to bash on the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like it is still up in the air. I mean, he could prove me wrong on his previous plays because he did show me some stuff when he got into Carolina. So and it's hard to say, just based on what I've seen that he is a bad quarterback. Because I mean, you're in the NFL, so obviously you're not a bad quarterback, but I think he still could show some stuff coming in this year. So maybe they know what they're talking about. I know Carolina is in a rebuilding process, but like we said earlier, if you're paying the quarterback to come back that you replaced with him in the same year, it's kind of hard to say that you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, not moving in a different direction. Jags offensive tackle Cam Robinson signed a 3-year, $54 million extension. So they're looking to hold that line similarly the way it is. Probably build it, make it stronger, which is what the Jags need to do. That's one of the things we say, hey, your defensive and offensive lines are key, so hold them together. Along with that, Chicago, it looks like they are not shopping around Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn says he wants to stay in Chicago. So a good quality pass rusher on the end. That's what everybody's looking for. So if you find it, try to work out a deal because with as good as these quarterbacks are, man, there are very, very few things that are more important than getting to the quarterback. And when we'll see that a lot in the draft, is guys looking for ways to get to the quarterback because it's really, really important.
Sure. I do think this year is going to be surprisingly. It's going to be defensive heavy draft. I think this year.
I think there's some good defensive guys, some good edge rushers. I think there's a lot of quality at wide receiver too.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
A couple cats from Alabama. From Penn State.
Pretty much guaranteed an NFL spot if you play for Alabama, man.
That's what I was saying. If you're sitting in that war room and you're like, man, I can't decide between which guys. Take the guy from Bama. I'm not a Bama fan. I'm Miami. It's all about the U, baby. But I want to tell you something. If you don't know who to draft and you need help drafting,
you're like, who's the next
guy from Alabama?
Yeah.
We have another little Derek's Texas Pride jumps in. Says great program, great information. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Always appreciate support no matter where it's from. Also, Andrew Smith in Atlanta, he came out in his press conference, says that Cordell Patterson will be moved around a lot. Sounds like the same situation we talked about last week with Deebo Samuel. Here we have another team. Kansas City did it with Tyreek a little bit, not as much as the 49ers do with Deebo. And it looks like Atlanta's going to do the same thing with Patterson, which, as we discussed last week, I think for a player that gets really old really fast. It sounds like a cool idea. Yeah, I'm going to be the head of this team and blah, blah, blah. And then you get the workload and you're like, oh, man, I'm still getting one paycheck, though.
Yeah, but we've seen that. I mean, I don't think Patterson has the ability to be a full-time guy. I think he's a great special teams player. We've seen him run in kickoffs multiple times, but he's not somebody that can function as your every down back. I think he needs to find his niche and just kind of just like deal with it in a certain kind of way. It's great getting your chances, but then you get your chances and you don't succeed. So it just kind of, I think you need to, just deal with your strong suits. I mean, because I'm surprised the guy's even still in the league.
Dude, he came in the league hot. Minnesota was like, dude, watch this kid.
And but he really didn't perform. He didn't really perform as a Viking. He was always
he really didn't.
The road.
Lots of potential.
Yeah, it's cool to have potential, but I mean, you need that kinetic energy to actually bust it out,
Yeah, I eventually need to get out of potential and do, hey, this is what we are.
Yeah.
You can't sit on potential forever. Eventually, you have to make a decision. Be like, all right, the potential didn't come out here. But that they're still expected to look for a playmaker in the draft. So I don't think they're going to just sit here and just, hey, rely on Patterson. And not address the issue.
So
yeah, but you need more. Yeah, you need more than Patterson.
If he was going to ball out, he would have already done it at this point of his career.
Yeah. Also in the draft, Bears are going to be looking for a receiver. We all know that. Brian Poles has come out. He said we will not be overreaching, though. They're not going to, overreach and get a guy because, hey, he's still on the board. They're going to apparently they're going to stick to their big board, which that's what you want. You want to show some conviction. Hey, we're only going to get the guy here, but there are certain situations, and I'm pretty sure they
Yeah.
go for it. When the guy you want, he's sitting right there, and you're like, well, we have him down here. We're going to pass on him. No, you're not.
I think
You're going to draft him. You're going to draft him and take him.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was their first round draft pick was a wide receiver. They need somebody good and high. I mean, because who's he throwing to? Kirk?
The Bears need a wide receiver.
Oh,
Robinson's gone.
The
Bears, yeah. Robinson's gone. They need a wide receiver. They need help at wide receiver.
Man,
and they will overreach if they need to for a wide receiver.
The Bears need so much more things than wide receivers, though, man. They need a quarterback. They need a running back. I mean, Marlon Mack's gone. I mean, not Marlon Mack, the defensive guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's in Vegas now.
Yeah.
Or no. Khalil
Mack, yeah. Something Mack, right? I knew it had Mack in it.
Yeah.
No, but and that was, I mean, when he got moved to that, yeah, he felt bad, but I mean, he was the cornerstone of that team while he was on the team, And Trubisky didn't work out for him. So the couple picks that they've picked really haven't been working for them. It's several years of rebuilding, but they need somebody more than a wide receiver. But the quarterback selection this season isn't like the best. So I would say running back, tighten up your defense. Bears have always been a really good, heavy defense team.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that structure going. Wait until next year. Keep the can down the road. Probably not going to happen for you this year.
Yeah. So might as well kick the can down the road. A guy not really kicking the can down the road and hanging in there. Melvin Gordon re-signed with Denver. He can make up to $5 million this year.
Hey,
we don't need to laugh. The only reason we're laughing is because Melvin Gordon was
Chargers.
Good. He was going to be really, really good.
But then he gets to Denver and his career is over, basically. I mean, because they themselves. I mean, but granted, they got Russell Wilson now, so maybe that will change the whole dynamic of that team. Who knows?
It could. It really could.
He might have a highlight season this year. I mean, there's no point of not signing that contract. You got a better team because you have a better quarterback. I mean, you don't have the wide receivers anymore. I mean, because they had some of the best, wide receivers. Emmanuel Sanders, rest in peace. Thomas, I mean, shoot, man. Those guys were great. And I mean, Emmanuel Sanders, like man, he's like one of my all-time favorite wide receivers.
Dude. Yeah, dude. I'm a fan
so,
man.
I think he did the right move. Because what other team are you going to go to?
Give me a second. Sorry. Carolina has talk a little bit about them real quick and what you think about this. Scott Fitterer, the GM's come in. He says he's been in talks with 3 or 4 teams about trading that number 6 pick.
You're really going to leave right now, Britt?
A little bit about that. No, I'll be.
See, this is stuff I got to deal with. As far as the number 6 pick goes, I don't think. I mean, Carolina's at that point where I don't think they should be giving up any picks right now. They really need to buckle down and make a wise decision. I am interested to see how that Darnold situation goes, but I think as far as like their pick goes, it's not something they should do. I don't think they need to be giving up picks.
With the pick?
I think you need to keep your picks. What do you plan on gaining? What are you planning on gaining?
Right. You hear that, Scott? From Donnie.
Yeah. He's like, man, I was really wondering what to do, but then I was watching this. I was watching this commentary, and man, he just nailed it. No, I don't see the benefit of doing that. And so, as far as their situation goes, I think they just need to see what they can get. Play free agency when the season starts.
Yeah. And last bit news, we'll move on from the news, but I just saw this. I thought it was really cool because I am a football fan, of course. Derrick Henry has become minority owner of MLS Nashville SC.
Really?
So I think that's pretty cool. Get all the sports, together and grow together as grow together. I guess there was nothing for the end of it. But I think that's really, really cool. Any investment in football around the world, I love it. And to see guys in the NFL who have an interest, like in soccer, I think that's really, really cool. So that's one reason I put it in there. Yeah. And Derrick Henry's the best running back in football in my book. So, if he's involved in something, we'll make it in our little headline.
Still can't win him a Super Bowl though. No, he is the best running back, but I mean, I don't think he's gonna get there on Tennessee, man.
It
doesn't look like it because he's had multiple chances on that team to get there.
Oh no, dude, for real.
And this year, people will say, well, it's because he was hurt and then he came back. But the season before that, I mean, he got 2,000 plus yards. He was probably at the top of his career right there. And they fell short. I mean, I think they lost second round. So, but he's not going to leave Tennessee. I don't see him leaving Tennessee. Not until he's phased out a little bit from his performance.
Right. Next, this year we talked a little about it with Kyler Murray. 2019, that draft class. This is the first year. This is their year where teams are picking up their fifth-year options. That's what these boys tomorrow and Friday and Saturday are going to have to deal with. Long time, not really long time down the road. But there were just a couple. The biggest one was Kyler Murray today. He got his extension. San Francisco picked up the option on Nick Bosa. He was the second overall pick that year. Of course, you're going to pick up that option.
Yeah. Dude's good.
Yeah. You New York Jet fans
in the league.
Oh, dude, yeah. You New York Jet fans out there, Quinnen Williams picked up his fifth-year option.
I had him on my fantasy league for a little bit. I think he's a good wide receiver. I just think that receiver.
Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle.
Oh, okay. What's that wide receiver's guy's name? Man, I should know this.
No, I know who you're talking about.
I thought his name started with Q.
It could have. I don't have their roster.
Shows how much I know, I guess.
Right in front of me.
But I don't. But like you were saying, I like how they keep defensive players. I think if you got a solid defense, because these are teams that do have good defense, they just always struggle with offense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's gonna bother me that I can't remember that guy's name.
It's all right. We'll get a researcher on it, and they'll just message you the name, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's that guy."
Yeah.
Las Vegas, the Raiders, they have yet to pick up the option on Clelin Ferrell. He's their defensive end. I guess they might be working out an extension for him because I would have think they would have picked up his option. Tampa Bay picked up the option on linebacker Devin White. Two things here, Don. New York. Do you see them picking up the option for Daniel Jones, or like we have discussed in the past, do you think this is his last? This is going to be his last.
Quincy Enunwa. Nua?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nua?
Oh, okay,
Okay.
yeah.
I knew his
Yeah.
name was Quincy.
Yeah, I know what
Okay.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your question? Sorry, I was gonna be focused on that.
No, it's cool. No, Daniel Jones. Do you think by May 2nd the Giants pick up his option, or do they just run with him this year and then maybe do a contract
I don't think I would
when
pick
they
them.
see
I don't. Well, because they're trying to figure out what's going on with what's the guy's name? I know his name. Saquon. They're trying to figure out what's going on with him, right? So it's hard to pick up his option because you really don't know how it's going. I think that's a toss up in the air, seeing where that's gonna go. Trying to decide what player is are they gonna keep or they're gonna let go. Who knows? They might let go of both of them, but I don't think they'll let go of Daniel Jones. But I don't think he's shown enough flash where he's really like considering, man, what are my options? Like a team's really looking at me. So I think they're safe by just letting it play out. And I really don't think, like we said last week, I don't think Barkley is going to really beast out this year. So they're probably going to be letting go of him, and they're going to have more money in the cap at the end of this year, beginning of next year. And so I don't even think Jones is going anywhere. I think he'll be on that team next year. So I don't think the organization is worried about kind of locking him in for 2 years. Realistically, if he doesn't really go off this year, they might keep him for one more year, see what players they can pick up in next year's draft and go from there.
Right. Another guy whose option not picked up, Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end Josh Allen. His 5th-year option has not been picked up. I can understand why, because
highlight of his career was that he tackled somebody with his name.
Yeah. Yeah. So they either need to find a partner for him or they need to replace him and find a partner for the guy they replaced him with, because Jacksonville over the last 2 seasons, 50 sacks.
Yeah.
His team. They need help on defense. But here's the kicker. That's only the 2nd worst.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
Well,
that's pretty horrible.
No, they have had a lot of sacks. They did not this season that we just had, but season before that, they actually had a fair amount of defensive points.
Yeah, but if you add the sacks,
I get it. I get it. It really doesn't matter if you're letting your quarterback get hit all the time, but still.
Yeah. So I would expect them to do it. Detroit picked up tight end Hawkinson. My Bills, Ed Oliver picked up his option, so that's going to be good. But there's,
I think any player on the Bills is pretty much going to get locked in.
We gotta lock them in, man.
I mean, you guys almost made it to the Super Bowl for the first time in several decades.
Yes. Several.
So, okay, like 2 decades, but but still, I mean, your team's good to go, man. I don't see why wouldn't they just pull the trigger on any of those guys? I mean, it makes no sense. Make another run at it.
Right.
That's what confuses me about the whole Rams thing with Odell Beckham. It's like, I'm pretty sure he will be on that team, but how come we haven't heard anything yet? That makes me wonder. And they got rid of Woods, so there's really no reason they shouldn't have. Yeah, they did pick up those other cats, but still. So.
Right. Well, okay. So that the 2019, that's the class coming on. So we'll move on from that. And going into the draft, the thing people's going to be looking at when you look to draft is the team needs, man. So Jacksonville, number 1. I mean, they need linebacker. They need offensive line. They're going to need wide receiver. How you're Jacksonville? How are you looking? What are you looking to do here with the number 1 draft pick? Are you going to look at your needs, or are you going to be like, wow, talent on the board, grab them?
I think Robinson's a fairly decent running back. I think he was really good 2 years ago. I think he struggled this year, and why? Were they on the field more often? I mean, it seemed like he was getting stuffed at the line repeatedly all season, is what it seemed like to me. So, if I was them, I'd pull the trigger on an offensive line player. I mean, we just said they need defense. So, I think they if play it smart, just get one of those picks. Most likely they'll probably, and I feel like, get a skill player, unfortunately, because that's how it seems to go with teams like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it; it's the biggest bang for your buck. You're thinking you just need a couple more skill players, and then you'll be able to move the ball. But at the same time, like something happened between 2 years ago and this year where you weren't able to move the ball as efficiently. And why is that? Because the pockets weren't there. So if the pockets are there, we've seen that Robinson can move the ball and he can get touchdowns. And I mean, it's not like they were getting wins. I mean, I think they almost made it to the playoffs 2 years ago. I think it was like 9 wins. Now you need like 11 or 12 to kind of secure yourself. But for Jacksonville, that's remarkably good for that organization. So I would say you open those pockets or defensive player.
You go offensive line, right?
Yeah.
You would do that. I mean that's what I think too. I mean, will they? They'll.
No, they got number 1 pick. They're gonna do something.
They're probably gonna go defensive edge rusher. So they're probably gonna take like a Trayvon Walker, defensive end out of Georgia, very very good, or an Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end out of Michigan.
You just don't see defensive players go number 1 overall.
They need defensive help.
I know what they need, but like as far as number 1 pick overall, at least as far as I've been watching football, you never see a defensive player go first round.
No, I get it. But I think what I'm doing, if I'm Jacksonville here with this pick right here, I'm going offensive tackle from Alabama, Evan Neal.
I mean, that's a smart pick.
Get that running game going. If we like the running back, we think he's the running back. I mean,
this is, I think, his 3rd year on his contract. So, this could be the end of his rookie contract for them. I'm pretty sure they'll pick him up next year. I don't see him going anywhere. He is pretty decent. I mean, he was top 5 or 6. He was at least top 10 2 years ago. Top 5's a little stretching it. But,
yeah.
he was definitely top 10. But yeah, I like your offensive pick. I think that's what most teams lean towards, is because it's the show. You get to see the ball being moved. You get to see those guys.
Yeah, it's about creating turnovers and scoring lots of points. How do you score points? You control the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And getting an offensive tackle with the caliber, I think it'd be very, very good for them. Picking second. Now, of course, I don't think any one of us will talk about trading picks. Like we said, you have your pick, use your pick.
Especially those top tier. I don't see them, You're getting 1st, 2nd, 3rd pick for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Right. With the 2nd pick of the draft, we'll be looking at the Detroit Lions.
They get so many picks this year.
Their probably biggest needs. Their 2 biggest needs are going to be on the defensive side of the ball. That's stopping these skill positions with a good corner, getting to the quarterback with a defensive lineman, or addressing their quarterback issue. But like we mentioned before,
you don't think golf's the answer?
Like we mentioned before, this draft isn't very quarterback heavy. So go defense.
I think they're going to pull wide
Go
receiver
defense.
first round.
Dang.
Yeah, it's just based on how that team's always picked. They love their skill players.
I don't see him taking a quarterback.
No.
With this pick.
Goff will be their quarterback this year, but
I think so too.
And Swift obviously is still going to be their running back, even though he's really not the answer. But I mean, he's been there for multiple seasons now, at least 2, I believe. And I mean, he's going to be there again. But they don't have wide receivers. They have nobody to throw the ball to.
Right.
So.
Yeah. This is where I go with Trayvon Walker right here, the defensive end out of Georgia.
Well, I mean, how many first-round picks do they have, right? They have 2?
Detroit, they have the 2nd overall pick.
I know they got the Rams first pick, but I mean the Rams.
And they have the 32nd pick.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Rams are gonna be 32nd. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl. So
the thing
do you
is,
feel like that's a loss as far as like a draft trade pick, right? Because you in your head you kind of thinking maybe I could have gotten like mid-20s pick, but to get the last pick of the first round. Because does that mean you also get the first pick of the? Do you get the first pick of the second round? Do they give that up too?
They might have.
I thought they gave up a fair amount of.
They gave up a fair amount of picks.
Yeah, I thought they weren't picking until like 3rd or 4th round. I don't have that information in front of me, but
their picks are gone. But they won the Super Bowl.
They won a Super Bowl, so
it don't matter.
Yeah,
it don't matter
as far as they're concerned. I mean, and they pretty much kept all their players, and even got some. I mean, they got Wagner, so I mean, arguably their team's better this season.
Right, I think so too. I think you'll see a lot of defensive guys go real early, except for me. I think Evan Neal will go first. A lot of people have Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker going to the Jags. I just think like you. I mean, the offensive line, man, like you're bad for a reason.
Yeah.
And it isn't just because your defense can't stop the opponents from scoring points. You have to score points yourself, man. And getting a good offensive lineman, I think, is what I would do. I don't know if they'll do it. They'll probably go with Trayvon Walker.
I would say their offensive line
leave Detroit with.
Go for it.
Oh, no, I was going to see, and that. Go ahead, Don.
I was going to say, I think their offensive line is struggling more than their defense as far as Jags are concerned. So I think it would be a smart move to go offensive line. Detroit, I will be very surprised, though, if they go with an defensive player. I mean,
you think
I could be, Ian Crow when it comes down to it, but I do think they'll go for like a wide receiver or something because they have that 2nd pick. I mean, 32 is a long way from 2, don't get me wrong, but and they're still getting 2 first-round picks, and I think the 2nd pick will be a defensive player.
Because there's probably a chance that wide receiver they want won't be there at 32.
Yeah.
I think the top 3 wide receivers for sure are going to be gone. Top 4 wide receivers gone by 32.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, it is more defensive heavy, so maybe you can find, but you're not going to find your Aiden Hutchinson. You're not going to find your Trayvon Walker down at 32.
Definitely not. No.
Maybe they go then, but like you said, you're not finding that quality at that wide receiver that you're looking for either. So, what to do, but that's their decision.
Yeah.
Texans coming in at 3. They need defensive line help. They need corner help. They need
all help.
offensive line help.
They need a quarterback. They need all
yeah.
that, guys.
No kidding.
If I'm a team like
God.
that, like I think, I mean, Detroit does need help too, but I mean, I think Houston's in a worse spot than Detroit. If I'm Houston, I'm taking the best available on the board. Yeah, that's going to help my team out.
You taking? Do you care? Do you care if he's offense or defense, or are you going
I think
best
you need to
available
use him as
defense
trade
guy?
bait. Is really what you need to do.
Maybe trade that third pick.
That's hard to say because you want to take the pick, right? Because what if nobody wants to pick him up? So you want to make a pick that's going to help benefit your team, but also it's somebody that you could use to get lesser players
later on.
Yeah,
maybe later on
because they need a lot of help. I do not see Houston winning too many games this season.
Oh yeah, I don't. Oh yeah. Another team that may not win a whole lot of games is picking fourth, the New York Jets. They need defensive line help. They need wide receivers. They need corners. I don't see them getting out of the cellar of the AFC East.
I mean, that division's. I thought it may open up with Brady leaving, but I think it's just as difficult, if not even more, because now you got more teams that are, the other three teams are better. I mean, Patriots obviously aren't better, but they're still a team to worry about. I mean, they had one down year. And then Mac Jones came and was like, no, I'm going to keep this team pretty much on par to where it was almost.
Right. So you're the Jets. I mean, they can use edge rushers, receiver help. You're picking number 4 with the Jets. What are you going after?
I feel like they draft a lot of like quarterbacks first normally, but this year there really isn't like something to provide that kind of, because I mean, Zach Wilson's their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And so
they took him
he was coming
overall.
on. He was coming on last year. If I'm the Jets, I'd take a risk and go wide receiver, man. I know that
you go to the wide
receiver. They really have not had like a huge like name brand wide receivers that I've seen. And why not? If you feel like Zach Wilson's coming on, maybe get him a wide receiver to throw to. Somebody like that. I mean, your team can always be improved by, like we said, defense and offensive line. I mean, I would, if I was to pick one of those two, I'd go offensive line. Protect the guy that you're believing in now. Keep that pocket open more, and then move down the road. I just want to see him beast it up. I really do. Because the one thing I can say about the Jets is when they do win, I mean, it makes news. People are like, they won, dude. They did it. It's like you said a couple weeks, it's like America's second favorite team. If your team, and then it's the Jets. So I'd like to see. Yeah, see. So I would just say, I would go wide receiver, but I do like the offensive line. I think the defensive line, I mean, it can always be improved. Every defensive line can be improved. I just feel like you're fourth is what they're getting at. So your next pick,
they are picking fourth.
Yeah.
So then let me ask.
Pick's like the high 50s, or
right.
Probably like actually the high 60s, the low 60s, more like it 60, I think probably.
So I'll have a question then for Pops here, man. Out of the wide receivers, Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State, Jameson Williams, Alabama, Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Where's Dad looking? Where's he want his wide receiver coming from? I have a feeling I know what Dad will say. but I just want to see where he would think, because I think my dad would go Johan Dotson 100%, but I don't know if he rates Dotson as the number one wide receiver. But yeah, you got time. Tell me who that wide receiver is, Pops. Um, Picking fifth will be the Giants. They
need defense
they could
real
use
bad.
offensive line help, linebacker.
The thing is, I think Daniel Jones can move around well enough. You saw it last year. And if
Yeah,
you're and they're both like on that kind of like fence, like we don't know if we're going to keep them or not. So go defense, and play them out, and then next year, because obviously, I mean, when you draft guys and everything like that, you still got those weeks that before trades over that people are shifting around. I mean, people are shifted the first week. I mean, even before the season even starts, people are getting moved. If I was them, I'd go defense because I think, I mean, I don't have much faith in Saquon, but if he's as good as people think he's going to be.
Okay, there's Dad. He doesn't want the Ohio State wide receivers. Nope. He likes Williams. But Dotson second. Yeah, I think Dotson's a little underrated by all the rankings. I don't think the kid out of Arkansas is better than Dotson, but I see a lot of people have him ranked over Dodson, but whatever, man. But cool. Thanks for answering the question, Pops. Appreciate it. I think that's how you're gonna go, though. But anyway, back to these Giants. They do have 2 picks there. They have the 5th and 7th pick.
Oh, really? Well, then they probably should go both sides of the ball then, offensive line and defense. I mean, there's really no reason to, go skill players. I think that he did an adequate job with the people that he had this year. I mean, they were highlights, several weeks. So it's not like they weren't moving the ball and they didn't have Saquon. So now that they do, they could be potentially, but yeah, I know he came at the end of the season, but by that point, it really didn't matter.
Right.
So, if you're getting rid of those guys, I'd say strengthen your defense, your offense. That is cool that they got 2 pretty close picks there.
Yeah, this is in some predictions where they have Evan Neal, the offensive tackle from Alabama, going to the 5th pick of the Giants. And since they picked so close, we'll skip over the 6th pick. It's Carolina. We'll circle back to it right away. But 7th pick will be the Giants, their pick from Chicago. This is where they have Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State, going. I don't know, man. I mean, I know it all depends, and you'll hear this a lot. It all depends what the board looks like. Yeah. Do you think you can wait and get said guy at 7, and then you'll have to take this guy at 5? And which way it could go. I know the board has a lot to do with it, but I would definitely go offense. I'll definitely go with the interior line on both sides of the ball right here with my 5th and 7th pick. Get a guy on the offensive to protect Jones, however I feel about him, and give Saquon one last good shake. Do your bit a little bit to give him a little bit more running lane, and then make a better judgment, and then go defensive lineman, get an edge rusher, because that's how you get to the quarterback. And that is so important in this league, is getting to the quarterback.
I mean, it pumps the whole team up when you see that quarterback go down.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it really does.
It's something to be said about a sack. It is interesting, though, that wide receiver's placed there, because, I mean, their team could definitely benefit from a wide receiver. It really just depends. on what they're thinking about, and I know that they're in this kind of like gray area with both of those guys. So I think the smart play would obviously be the defensive offensive line players.
That's
But
what I would think.
if you're thinking that you're going to keep Jones, then maybe give him
a weapon.
a top wide receiver. I mean, the problem with wide receivers is I think your win-lose margin for like a offensive line player is smaller than like a wide receiver, because like if you pick a bad wide receiver, I mean, it's a major loss. That's a waste of a pick. But there's going to be that middle ground with those defensive offensive line players, because I mean, I'm not saying they do their job, but it's something that I think it's easier to adjust into it, because those guys are always big, man. I mean, those guys, I mean, the people that play those positions, all their physical stature is always, you're obviously physically bigger when you're 35 than you are when you're 20. But as far as like the transition, it always seems a little more smooth, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Stuck in between the two giant picks is Carolina with the 6th pick. We mentioned in the opening about them possibly trading that pick. There is talk about possibly maybe moving up to grab Evan Neal, offensive tackle, of course, out of Alabama, or staying at 6 and just taking the best offensive lineman that's available. I guess
What are they
it's on
giving up
10.
for the moving forward?
It probably, I know it'd definitely be a swap. Would they have to throw in
They have to
a
put,
little bit of extra? It all depends how
a kicker
far
for sure.
up. Kicker for sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely a kicker. But what is that kicker going to be? Like, depends on who you're talking to, because you're talking to the Giants to move up 1, Jets who need a lot of help, Houston who needs a lot of help, Detroit needs a lot. I don't see any one of those teams
Yeah, all the teams in front of you need
trading their
help.
pick.
Yeah.
Maybe New York would do it, the Giants, because it's just 1. But if that's the battle for Evan Neal, the Giants aren't going to do it, because I think Evan Neal is the best offensive lineman on the board.
I mean, honestly, top 10 pick, you're hard pressed. You have to give up a lot to do. I think switch those picks.
It will be worth to move 1 slot.
Yeah.
Like, they'll have to give more than just that 6th pick.
Yeah,
They'll
it's not
have
going to
to
be a
throw in
1-for-1. You're going to have to
else.
give up your 2nd round pick or your picks for next year.
And
or
is that worth
some
moving
player.
up 1 slot?
Yeah.
I
If your
guess it
whole
depends
team is
on
hinged around getting 1 player, you probably have more to work out than just getting that 1 player.
Life is good, and you wouldn't be picking 6th overall.
Yeah.
If that was the case. We'll go through here. We'll just round out the top 10 real quick. And then, the times, spend a little bit of time on the news of the day. Picking 8th is the Atlanta Falcons. I know we had mentioned them talking about in the news because of Patterson going to be used in multiple positions. With the 8th pick, we're going to see Atlanta picking and quarterback now. It could use help in the linebacker department. And you say now, like you should have been trying to replace Matt Ryan like a couple years ago.
Yeah, they paid him too much. They couldn't let him go, man.
Right. And of course, or a wide receiver to, alleviate the workload that's going to be put on Patterson. You're Atlanta. Do you go for what is looked at as the conventional needs of the team in quarterback, linebacker, and wide receiver, or you watching Atlanta, this past season? Do you see? No, I would actually go this route.
Who's on the ball for him now?
They signed Marcus Mariota on a 2-year deal.
Okay, that's who it was. I knew. I was like, I couldn't remember. I knew it was a Tennessee. He used to be a Tennessee quarterback. I just couldn't remember which one. Obviously, you signed him, so you're gonna play him this year. I mean, he's got a good enough name where he's at least gonna give him, the first several games, if not the whole season.
Yeah, I don't go quarterback here either.
No,
I just assume that's what you
running
would say.
back. If it really just depends. I mean, because
Not a fan of Ridley.
Ridley, I thought was a wide receiver.
There's
Calvin
a
Ridley?
receiver. I
Running
thought
back?
they had the running back Ridley, or does Atlanta have the wide receiver Ridley?
Calvin Ridley's a wide receiver.
He's the wide receiver. Okay.
Because Patterson, I thought was the running back, right? Is he a wide receiver?
Patterson is their running back.
Yeah, okay. I was like,
Patterson
you got me
is the
confused
running
there for a second. I was like, no, Patterson's a running back.
Yeah, I got the Ridley mixed up.
So, and they got Austin Hooper's their tight end still.
Hooper.
So, I think as far as like their offense, I mean, though I don't believe in Patterson, I think that, like I said, running back, but maybe they're good enough to really just hold on to that. Sorry, my computer's gonna die. I don't want it to die on you. I would say if I was Atlanta, you definitely need offensive line. And I know we keep saying that, but I mean,
we're gonna say it for every team. We're gonna say it for every team. It's so important.
There's a reason your team is falling down so low. There's a reason you're drafting top 10. It's because, and Matt Ryan wasn't the quarterback you wanted him to be. You did pay him
and
way
Julio
too much.
wasn't the wide receiver.
But, and Julio Jones, you put way too much faith in that guy.
Well, they did cut him last year, of course.
No, I know, but I mean, they
not like cut him,
like focused that team around two players that were really, I don't want to say bad, but I think they were players that really, really didn't deserve that kind of hype that they got.
Well, they needed more help around them too.
So I would say offensive line, protect that Mariota. I mean, obviously, I know it.
You got to protect Mariota the way he plays.
I'm glad this is recorded because I'll never say it again. Matt Ryan might be better than Mariota, so like you need somebody that's gonna be able to protect him. The defense for Atlanta's always been pretty. I'm not stout, but decent enough to stop it. Unless you're Tom Brady and you come back from a 27-point deficit. But other than that, I'd say offensive line. You picked up a bunch of veterans, old cat, not old as far as football is concerned. So I mean, maybe that'll play out to your benefit. But you're obviously structuring your team so you can get other positions for further down the road based on who you picked up.
Right.
So I do think they're looking towards those other. They're not looking at skill players. They're looking at strengthening up those other positions.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Mariota's only going to be there for so long, year or two, unless he falls out. But he's not.
And you find your quarterback.
Yeah.
Pick 8, a lot of predictions here. This is where they have Jamison Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama, going. Who I think he is.
Yeah,
he's a special. Special talent.
And it's hard.
He's really
it really is. Good. I mean, we saw it last year. There was 12, 13 Alabama players drafted first round last year. So it pretty much if you're from Alabama and you're on the board, it's hard not to pick you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's
Jamison Williams for me. He's the wide receiver I have at the top of my board. I have I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Alabama has another wide receiver that I think is right behind him.
And I mean,
yeah.
Ridley.
I can't remember his name.
He was balling out at the beginning of the year. So maybe, and the problem with being really good like that on a team like that is, of course, you're going to get double teamed by the other team, and you're not going to be able to do what you need to do. So maybe he does need a tandem partner, man. Somebody that's on the opposite side that's just as good. And I mean, you have two good running backs, you have two good wide receivers, you're going to be able to move the ball. I mean,
Right.
if it just depends. Mariota seems like he snaps the ball a little bit faster. I don't know if that's just because he'd never had a pocket to really sit in, so his snap time is a little bit lighter than most. So
Well,
maybe,
he was the guy that um he wants to move the ball quick.
yeah.
Like
And the problem really is he's a downfield catcher, man. So but
that inherently slows down your offense because
yeah.
that guy has to run all the way back, get lined up at the line of scrimmage, and then go again.
So maybe having somebody, I don't know how the wide receivers you're talking about, how they play, their slot receivers or the
Will
big play
Williams
receivers.
is Will Williams is a very, very, very good wide receiver. He in the national championship game, of course, he tore his ACL.
And that's really hard.
So
It's going to
so
lower your
what
draft
he's gonna
pick.
look, which is why I think he's eighth, predicted to go eighth, and he's not the number one wide receiver on big boards. I mean, he only fell to number two on most people's big board
Well, an
with
ACL,
that
man,
injury.
those, I mean, it's not like it was 10 years ago. I mean,
Right.
they were saying how like ODB's injury that happened in the Super Bowl was actually a blessing because they had messed up on the previous surgery. So,
Oh, yeah.
so because he ripped it again, they were able to go in there and fix the problems with his first surgery. So his leg's actually better. So like the advances in medical, technology and all that stuff, the way they do procedures is better. So those injuries aren't. I mean, we saw Burrows come back and almost, pretty much. I mean, beast it up.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's better than Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. Um, but he'll probably get drafted after Wilson because of said injury.
I get that. It is a little
I think
scary,
he's
no matter
yeah,
what.
I think he's better than Drake London out of USC.
How many
I
weeks
think
are we out since that? We're like what? A couple months.
yeah,
I mean,
like
what? It
I
was like
think
January, February, January, mid
yeah,
January.
they'll be patient. Whoever gets them will have to be patient with Williams as he's working his way back and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, Atlanta can afford to be patient. I think there are some teams that can't. Like I don't think the Giants could afford to be patient. So I could see them going after
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson or Olave, the other wide receiver out of Ohio State. But yeah, I think Atlanta,
I think they're just
Jameson
happy to
Williams
get
is
out
good.
from underneath Matt Ryan. I bet you that's like a fresh air, man, for him. They were tied
Right.
to that guy for a little bit longer than they should have, and so I think you know
Yeah.
they're gonna start making moves because I mean they were half decent there for a little second,
Yeah, they have been.
you know.
Picking ninth with a pick from Denver will be the New York Jets picking again.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. They have two picks in the top 10. I mean,
Well, then that's when you go
um,
wide receiver. I didn't know they had
yeah,
two top tens. Yeah,
predictions have them taking Sauce Gardner, a corner out of Cincinnati, with their first round pick, and with their ninth pick taking a Drake London out of USC. But, you know, as Dad said, he'd rather have Dotson than London. And, so would I. I like the Jets picking a wide receiver here in the top 10, and I'd like them defense with their first pick. I for sure would go defense
Yeah, if
because
they
look
have
at the
two top
quarterbacks
teams,
you're
yeah.
facing. Josh Allen throwing the ball. New England's the
Like you
guy
don't know his name.
throwing the ball, and then you got
What's his
two
name?
out in
Britt.
Miami. Oh man, I don't remember.
Okay. It's not Tom Brady, right?
No, I think he's gone.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you guys actually might win now that he's gone.
Yeah, we will. No, it's Mac Jones, everybody. Just in
No.
case there's somebody out there watching, going, does this motherfucker really not know who the quarterback of the New England Patriots is? Really?
And I mean,
No.
truthfully, I know you want to win
It's
games,
a bit. I'm a hater.
but the likelihood that you're going to win that division, I don't think it's this year. But yeah, you really do.
If you're not Buffalo or New England, I don't think you're winning this division.
Not right now. I think Buffalo will take this division again. It's coming up here.
Unless God becomes a Jet fan.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's changing.
Oh. But
Sorry, Dad.
but if they have 2 top 10 draft picks, I mean that's
They could close the gap.
That's good. It's climbing the mountain, man. You're getting those picks that you need, and so that's good to see.
Right. And then we'll wrap it up with the 10th pick. That is going to be your Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, yeah.
Which, let me preface with saying this. That's the Jets have the 10th pick. Seattle has the 9th pick. There's a lot that the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Jets will trade these picks.
Oh, really?
Right. So it's actually Seattle picking 9th, the Jets picking 10th. I was wondering why my two different notes were these two picks were off, because in one set of notes I have the Jets picking 10th. The other notes I have Seattle picking 10th. Sorry.
So I mean, what are the Jets giving up for that move?
There's nothing laid out. It's just a prediction.
Oh, okay.
But Seattle will have the 9th pick. They need a quarterback, offensive line, corner. You could even say, hey, they need to replace Bobby Wagner too.
I'd say defense, just because they need to get back to their roots. I mean, they had a strong defense, and they were able to, be a name in the league. And obviously, Drew Lock's not going to be a star quarterback for you.
Man, you stole my question here, bud.
And they know it too. So,
do you go quarterback at 10 now?
Ah, man.
Or with this class, you can wait.
Tell you, if you don't pick a quarterback at 10, you're going to get the same kind of caliber quarterback when your next pick comes around as you have now. So you either deal with Drew Lock for a year,
or you take a quarterback at 10.
At 10.
So that would be either Matt Carroll out of Mississippi or the Liberty kid, the quarterback out of Liberty, Malik Willis.
I just don't see him picking a quarterback, man.
I don't either.
This isn't the year for quarterbacks. I feel that the top 10 aren't going to be. I feel like the quarterbacks are going to fall towards the end. But the thing is, those teams don't need quarterbacks.
Seattle, you lost Bobby Wagner. You need to get pressure on the quarterback,
which was dumb. So dumb.
Like you get pressure on the quarterback. So the predictions have Kayvon Thibodeau edge rusher out of Oregon, going number 10 to Seattle or number 9 to Seattle, depending on how or if that trade even gets through or what happens with that. But it is one thing for sure. Oh, before I go on,
I gotta put the Bills will win up. Gotta put it up there, man.
Dude, what are you talking about?
I gotta put it up there, man.
I just needed to put this comment up there.
Yeah.
Bills
look at that! I didn't see that.
I can't say I disagree with that one bit. Yeah, go Bills, man. Bills Mafia. But everybody, thank you for stepping in, breaking bread with us tonight. Really, really appreciate it. The draft, of course, is tomorrow. So everybody, enjoy the draft. See if we're just talking rubbish or if, get a hold of us, tell us, hey, you were right. You guys are smart. Whatever you want to do, we don't care about. Yeah. And good night. Yes, sir. So we will be for sure reconvening next week as we will recap the draft. Trying to get a couple special things in the works for all your wonderful people's viewing pleasure, because we appreciate you so much. But for me, Donnie Shoemaker, this has been.
Brett. Thanks for having me on. Y'all be safe.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, this has been FTB Sports Through the Table draft preview. We will see y'all next week. Bye.